The red sun of Kepler for 4-B was setting behind the rocky hills when Commander Deho first saw the ships. He had been checking the daily mining reports in his small office when the ground began to shake. At first he thought it was another earthquake. The planet had many of them, but earthquakes did not make the sky turn dark. Deho stepped outside the main building and looked up. His mouth fell open. Massive black shapes were blocking out the stars. The ships were so large that he could not see where they ended. They hung in the sky like floating mountains. "Soman," he called to his chief engineer who was working nearby. "Come and see this." Soman dropped her tools and ran over. She was a small woman with quick hands and a smart mind. She had been fixing the water recycler when Deho called her. Now she stood next to him and stared at the sky. "What are those things?" she asked. "I do not know," Deho said. "But they are not from Earth." The mining colony was small. Only 40 people lived there. They had come to dig for rare metals that Earth needed. The planet was far from home, but it was peaceful. No dangerous animals, no hostile weather. Just red rocks and quiet days. That quiet was about to end. Tae-1, the medic, came running from the medical tent. He was out of breath. "Commander, the radio is going crazy. All the channels are full of strange signals." "What kind of signals?" Deho asked. "I do not know. They sound like ... like growling." Hyjin appeared from the security building. She was the only real soldier among them. The others were miners, engineers, and scientists. Hyjin carried a rifle and had the hard eyes of someone who had seen war. "Sir," she said to Deho, "we need to get everyone to the main hall." "Now why? What is happening?" "Look at the ships again, sir. Really look." Deho turned his eyes back. To the sky, the black shapes were moving. They were coming down, slowly like giant predators that knew their prey had nowhere to run. "Everyone to the main hall," Deho shouted. "Right now, leave everything and come to the main hall." The colonists came running. There was Jin Woo, the geologist, Yoon Young, who managed communications, old grandmother Boksoon, who cooked for everyone, and young Minho, who fixed the machines. All 40 of them crowded into the main hall. Outside, the ships kept coming down. The ground shook harder. The lights in the hall flickered. "What do we do?" asked Kung Su, the quiet man who studied rocks. "We wait," Deho said. "We see what they want." "Maybe they are friendly," said Minho. He was only 20 years old. He still believed good things might happen. Hyjin checked her rifle. "Ships that big do not come in peace." The first ship landed with a sound like thunder. Then another. And another. The colonists could feel each landing through the floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. "The radio," Yoon Young said suddenly. "Someone is trying to talk to us." She turned on the main communications system. Static filled the air. Then came a voice. It was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Small creatures of the third planet, you will listen." The colonists looked at each other. The voice was speaking their language, but it sounded wrong. Like someone learning to talk with a mouth full of teeth. "You are on our world now. You breathe our air. You walk on our ground. You will submit to the Valakari Empire." Valakari, Soman whispered. "Never heard of them." The voice continued. "You will gather in the open space. You will bring no weapons. You will show proper respect to your new masters. You have 1 hour." The radio went silent. "Masters," Hyjin said. She spit on the ground. "I have never had a master. I have to go out there," Deho said. "We have no choice. We could fight." Hyjin said. "With what? We have 3 rifles and some mining tools. They have ships that can cross space, so we just give up? We go out there and we talk? Maybe we can make a deal?" Grandmother Bouchon, who had been quiet, spoke up. "I have lived through wars before. Sometimes the smart thing is to bow your head and wait for your chance." "She is right," Deho said. "We need to be smart." The hour passed too quickly. It was time. The colonists walked outside together. The ships had landed in a circle around their small settlement. Each ship was as big as a city building. Ramps had come down from the ships. Things were walking down the ramps. They looked like wolves that had learned to walk on 2 legs. They were tall, with long arms and hands that ended in claws. Their faces were wolf faces, but with intelligence in their eyes. They wore metal armor, that looked like it was made for war. The biggest one stepped forward. It was nearly 8 feet tall. Its fur was black with silver markings. When it spoke, its voice was the same one they had heard on the radio. I am War Prime Valandra of the Valakari Empire. You are now subjects of the Empire. Deho stepped forward. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his voice steady. I am Commander Deho. We are peaceful miners. We do not want trouble. Valandra tilted her head. Trouble. You think you can make trouble for us? She gestured to her soldiers. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They carried weapons that hummed with energy. We have conquered 73 worlds, Valandra said. We have made slaves of creatures much stronger than you. You are small, you are weak, you will learn to obey. What do you want from us? Deho asked. You will work, we will mine thee. Metals we need. You will give us your knowledge of this world. In return, we will let you live. And if we refuse, Valandra showed her teeth. They were very sharp. Then you will not live. The colonists stood there in the red sunlight, surrounded by alien soldiers. They were 40 humans on a world far from home, facing an empire that had conquered the galaxy. But they were still standing. We need time to think, Deho said. You have until tomorrow morning, Valandra said. Then you will submit, or you will die. The War Prime turned and walked back toward her ship. Her soldiers followed. Soon the colonists were alone again. Said Hai Jin. That could have gone better. What do we do now? Asked Minho. Deho looked at the faces around him. These were good people. They'd come to this world to build something. They had families back on Earth. They had dreams. Now we survive, he said. We find a way to survive. The alien ships settled in for the night. The humans gathered in their small buildings and wondered what tomorrow would bring. They did not know that they were about to teach the Valakari Empire something new. They were about to show them what humans really were. The next morning came too soon. Commander Deho had not slept. None of them had. They sat in the main hall all night, talking in quiet voices about what they should do. We could try to run, suggested Jinwoo. Where would we go? Asked Somin. This planet has no other settlements. Our ships are too small for long space travel. We could hide in the caves, said Kyungsu. They would find us, Hai-Jin said. Those ships probably have sensors that can track us anywhere. When the sun rose, War Prime Valandra came to their settlement. She brought 50 soldiers with her. They formed a circle around the main hall. Have you decided? She asked. Deho stepped forward. We will work for you, but we want to be treated fairly. Valandra laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass. You want to make deals? You are not in a position to make deals. She gestured to her soldiers. Take them. The Valakari soldiers moved forward. They carried metal chains and electric prods. The humans were forced to put their hands behind their backs. The chains were heavy and cold. You will learn the first. Rule of the Empire, Valandra said. You are not people anymore. You are tools. Tools do not make demands. They were marched to a large flat area near the ships. The Valakari had worked all night to build something there. It looked like a prison camp. High walls made of metal, guard towers at each corner. Inside the walls were small buildings that looked like cages. Welcome to your new home, Valandra said. We call this process the breaking. Every species goes through it. By the time we are done, you will understand your place. The humans were separated into groups. The men were put in one building, the women in another. The old people and the young people were put in different places. Why are you separating us? Deho asked. Because you are pack animals, Valandra said. You are stronger when you are together, so we will keep you apart until you learn to obey. Deho was put in a small room with Jinwoo, Taewon, and Kyungsu. The room had 4 metal beds and nothing else. No windows. No comfort. Just gray walls and a locked door. This is how it starts, said a voice from the next room. It was another human, but Deho did not recognize the voice. Who is that? Called, my name is Bong Su. I was captured 3 days ago. I was part of the survey team that was supposed to arrive next month. There were others, 12 of us. We came early to prepare for your expansion. The Valakari found us first. Deho felt his heart sink. What happened to the others? They are here. In different rooms. The Valakari like to keep us guessing about who is still alive. The door opened. A Valakari soldier entered. He was smaller than Valandra, but still much bigger than any human. His fur was brown, and he had scars on his face. He pointed. At Deho. Come. Deho was taken to a large room in the center of the camp. Valandra was waiting there. She sat behind a metal desk, like a judge. Tell me about your species, she said. What do you want to know? Everything. How many worlds? Do you control? How many ships do you have? What are your weapons like? Deho thought carefully. We control one world. Earth. We have some ships, but they are for exploration, not war. We do not have many weapons. You are lying. I am not lying. We are peaceful. People? We came here to mine, not to fight. Valandra stood up and walked around the desk. Do you know how many species have told me that? All of them? They all claim to be peaceful. They all claim to be weak. She leaned down until her face was close to his. But they all have secrets. They all have hidden strengths. What are yours? We do not have any. Wrong answer? She nodded to the soldier. He hit Deho with the electric prod. Pain shot through his body. He fell to the floor. Let me tell you. About the Korathi, Valandra said. They looked weak too. Small bodies, no claws, no fangs. But they had minds that could control machines with their thoughts. It took us 6 months to discover their secret. She waited for Deho to stand up. The Zentari seemed harmless. They were plantators. No weapons, no armies. But they could make poisons that could kill a Valakari in seconds. I am telling you the truth, Deho said. We are just miners. And the Helix claimed to be traitors, but they could become invisible. They killed 200 of my soldiers before we learned their trick. She sat down again. Every species has something that makes them dangerous. What is yours? We do not have anything like that. The electric prod hit him again. This time he stayed down longer. Take him back, Valandra said. Bring me the next one. This went on for days. Each human was brought to the room and asked the same questions. Each time they told the truth, they were hurt. The Valakari did not believe them. The humans were given little food and less water. They were forced to work in the mines for 12 hours each day. The work was hard and dangerous. The tools were old and broken, but something strange happened. The humans began to adapt. When Jinwoo was too weak to lift his tools, Kyung-soo helped him. When Taewon was hurt by falling rocks, the other humans shared their food so he could heal. When grandmother Baksoon collapsed from exhaustion, Minho carried her tools as well as his own. The Valakari soldiers watched this with confusion. Other species fought each other when resources were scarce. They blamed each other for their suffering. They broke quickly, but the humans did the opposite. The harder things got, the more they helped each other. This is not normal, said Guard Captain Mordok to Valandra. The other species were begging for mercy by now. Give them less food, Valandra said. Make them work longer hours. It did not work. The humans just shared what little they had. They took turns sleeping, so someone was always watching over the others. They sang quiet songs to keep their spirits up. After 2 weeks, Valandra tried a different approach. She had Minho brought to the interrogation room. You are young, she said. You have your whole life ahead of you. Why suffer for these other humans? Tell me their secrets, and I will make your life easier. Minho looked at her with clear eyes. They are my family. I do not betray family. They're not your blood relations. That does not matter. I chose to be family. Valandra did not understand. In Valakari culture, only blood mattered. Pack bonds were about strength and dominance. But these humans seemed to have bonds that made no sense. She decided to test those bonds. The next day, she gathered all the humans in the center of the camp. They stood in lines, weak and tired, but still standing together. You have been here for 2 weeks, she said. You have not broken. This is unusual, so we will try something new. She pointed to Yoon Young, the communications officer. You, step forward. Yoon Young looked scared, but she stepped forward. This female has been sending secret messages, Valandra lead. She has been trying to contact your military. She is the reason you are all suffering. It was not true, The humans had no way to send messages. But Valandra wanted to see if they would turn on each other. "Give her to us," she said. "Let us punish her, and the rest of you will be treated better." The humans looked at each other. They were hungry and tired and hurt. It would be easy to blame someone else for their pain. But Deho stepped forward. "She did nothing wrong. If you want to punish someone, punish me. I am the leader." "No," said Solomon. "Punish me. I am the one who knows the most about the machines." "Take me instead," said Heejin. "I am the dangerous one." One by one, every human stepped forward. They all volunteered to take on Young's place. Valandra stared at them. In all her years of conquest, she had never seen anything like this. Species always had individuals who would sacrifice others to save themselves. It was the way of nature. But not these humans. "Interesting," she said quietly. "Very interesting." Hush. She turned and walked away, leaving the humans standing together in the red sunlight. For the first time since the conquest began, War Prime Valandra was not sure what would happen next. The humans had just shown her something that did not fit in her understanding of how the universe worked, and that made them dangerous in a way she was only beginning to understand. War Prime Valandra could not sleep. She paced back and forth in her command chamber aboard the main ship. The humans had been in the camp for 3 weeks now. Nothing was going as planned. Every other species had broken by now. The Korathi had surrendered after 5 days. The Zentari had begged for mercy after 8. Even the proud Helix had given up their secrets after 2 weeks of pressure, but the humans just kept helping each other. "Guard Captain Mordock," she called. The brown-furred warrior entered and saluted. "Yes, War Prime." "Tell me about today's incident." Mordock's ears flattened against his head. The human called Minho was injured in the mine. A support beam fell on his leg. It was badly broken. And then the other humans stopped working. All of them. They carried him out of the mine and demanded medical care. We told them no medical care until they finished their work quotas. Yes, War Prime. But they refused to go back to work. They said they would rather die than leave their injured friend. Valandra growled low in her throat. "What did you do?" "We used the electric prods. We beat them, but they would not move. They formed a circle around the injured one and just ... stayed there." "For how long?" 6 hours. They stayed there for 6 hours while we shocked them and hit them. The old female, the one they called grandmother, Baksoon, she actually fell unconscious from the pain, but the others held her up and kept the circle. Valandra stopped pacing. And then the medic, Tae-1, he did something strange. He started talking to the injured one. Quiet words. We could not hear what he said, but the injured one stopped screaming. He became calm. Drugs? Some kind of poison? A War Prime? We tested him. It was just ... words. The human medic used only words to take away the pain. Valandra had heard. Enough. She dismissed Mordock and called for her science officer, Tech Prime Zalanoth. "I want you to study the humans," she told him. "Find out what makes them different. We have been studying them, War Prime. They're weak creatures. Small muscles, no claws, no natural weapons. Their bones break easily. Their skin is soft. Then, why will they not break like the others? I do not know. Find out. Use their own data if you have to." Zalanoth bowed. Their data was mostly destroyed when we captured them. But there are some personal files. Stories, pictures, something they call movies. Study everything. I want to know what we are dealing with. The next day, another incident happened. A group of humans was working near the eastern mining site when the ground gave way. It was a small earthquake, but it trapped 2 humans under falling rocks. The humans above ground did not run for help. They did not wait for Valakari soldiers. They started digging with their bare hands. "Move away from the collapse," ordered Guard Captain Mordock. "It is dangerous. Our friends are down there," said Solomon. Her hands were bleeding from clawing at the rocks. "We are not leaving them. They are probably dead. You will only get yourselves killed. Then we die together." More humans came running. They brought tools and ropes. They organized themselves without any orders from their leaders. Some dug, some carried rocks. Some watched for more cave-ins. The Valakari soldiers watched in confusion. These humans were risking their lives for two people who were probably already dead. It made no sense. But after 4 hours of digging, they found the trapped humans. Both were alive. One had a broken arm. The other had cuts and bruises. But they were breathing. The humans cheered. They hugged each other, cried tears of joy. "Foolish," Mordok said. "You risked 20 lives to save 2. "Yes," said Deho simply. "That is what we do." That night, Tech Prime Zalanoth came to see Valandra. He looked disturbed. "War Prime, I have been studying the human data files. What I found is ... troubling. Tell me." Their species evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Ice ages that lasted thousands of years. Diseases that killed most of their population. Natural disasters that destroyed their cities. So they are survivors. Many species are survivors. No, War Prime, you do not understand. They're not just survivors. They are persistence hunters. Valandra's blood went cold. Every predator in the galaxy knew about persistence hunters. They were the most feared type of predator there was. Explain. Most predators are fast and strong. They chase prey for a short time, then give up if they cannot catch it. But persistence hunters are different. They are not fast. They are not strong. But they never give up. Zalanoth activated a holographic display. Look at this. A human hunting an animal called a deer. Doom. The deer is faster than the human. It runs away. But the human keeps following. For hours. For days. The deer gets tired, but the human keeps coming. Display showed a human running through forests and across rivers. The deer was always ahead, but the human never stopped. The deer can run faster, but it cannot run forever. Eventually, it collapses from exhaustion. And the human is still there. But that is just hunting, Valandra said. That does not explain why they will not break. War Prime, they use this same technique on each other. Look at this file. It is about something they call the Second World War. The display changed. Now it showed human armies fighting across continents. The humans divided into groups and fought each other for 6 years. 6 years of constant war. Cities were destroyed. Millions died. Their whole world was burning. And they did not give up. Even when their cities were rubble, even when their armies were defeated, they kept fighting. They hid in forests and mountains. They sabotaged their enemies. They passed messages through networks of ordinary people who risked death to help. Valandra stared at the images. How did it end? The humans who were losing simply outlasted. The ones who were winning, they absorbed more punishment than should have been possible. They turned their entire population into soldiers. They made their enemies fight for every street, every building, every room, and their enemies got tired of fighting, got tired of dying, got tired of the endless resistance. And they had faster ships, better weapons, more soldiers. But they could not match the humans' refusal to surrender. Zalanoth changed the display again. Here's another file. Something called the Winter War. A small group of humans fought against an empire that had 100 times more soldiers. Who won? The humans. They used the cold in the forests. They made the empire pay for every mile of ground. The empire had better everything. But the humans just ... kept fighting. Valandra felt something she had never felt before. Fear. Show me more. There are hundreds of these stories, War Prime. Every time humans faced impossible odds, they found a way to survive. Not by being stronger or faster or smarter, by being too stubborn to die. What else? They form bonds that are stronger than family. They call it friendship. They will die for people they are not related to. They will suffer for people they barely know. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense, War Prime. A human alone can be killed. But humans together become something else. They become a force that cannot be stopped. Valandra looked at the data files. Thousands of years of human history. Wars, disasters, diseases, extinctions. And through it all, the humans kept surviving. There is something else, Zalanoth said quietly. Something that explains why they are so calm. What? They have done this before? Many times. They have been slaves. They have been conquered. They have been broken and beaten and scattered. And they always come back. Always. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes generations. But they always come back. Valandra turned off the display. She stood in the dark for a long time thinking. War Prime? Zalanoth asked. What are your orders? Double the guards around the camp, she said, and prepare the ships for departure. Departure? But we have not broken them yet. No, Valandra said. I do not think we can. For the first time in her life, the War Prime of the Valakari Empire was afraid of her prey. She had finally understood what the humans really were. They were not just another species to conquer. They were something that had been tested by their own world for millions of years and had never broken, and now they were testing her. The humans had been in the camp for 1 month. War Prime Valandra watched them from her command ship and tried to understand what she was seeing. The humans should have been broken by now. Instead, they seemed to be getting stronger. They had organized themselves in ways that made no sense. Jinwu, the geologist, was teaching other humans about the planet's rocks and soil. Jin Young was showing them how to fix broken communication equipment using scrap metal. Taewon was training everyone in basic medical care. They were learning. From each other, they were becoming more capable every day. This cannot continue, Valandra told Guard Captain Mordok. We need to remind them who is in control. What do you suggest, War Prime? Bring me their young ones, all of them. The Valakari soldiers entered the camp that morning and gathered the 5 youngest humans. Minho was among them, still walking with a limp from his broken leg. The others were Jihoon, a 19-year-old apprentice engineer, Sujin, a 20-year-old botanist, Dongmin, a 21-year-old communications trainee, and Inha, the youngest at 18. They were brought to the center of the camp, where all the humans could see them. Valandra arrived with 20 soldiers. She carried a weapon that hummed with deadly energy. The humans watched in silence as she pointed the weapon at the young people. You have been here for 1 month, she announced. You have not learned your place. You continue to resist. You continue to hope. She moved the weapon to point directly at Minho's head. That ends today. I will execute these young ones unless you give me what I want. What do you want? Asked Daeho. I want your secrets. I want to know how you really fight. Hidden weapons and your secret technologies. We have told you the truth. We have no secrets. Then these young ones will die. The humans looked at each other. The young people stood straight and calm, even with death pointing at them. Minho even smiled a little. Do it then, said Salman, stepping forward. Everyone turned to look at her. She was small and quiet, usually the last person to speak. But now her voice was clear and strong. Kill them, she said. Kill all of us. But you need to understand something first. What? You have no idea what you just awakened. Valandra tilted her head. Explain. You think we are weak because we are small? You think we are helpless because we have no claws? But you are wrong about what makes us dangerous. Wayne walked closer to the War Prime. The soldiers raised their weapons, but Valandra gestured for them to wait. We are not dangerous because we are strong, Salman continued. We are dangerous because we remember. Every species you have conquered, every world you have destroyed, every person you have killed, we remember all of it. Memory is not a weapon. Yes, it is. Memory is the most powerful weapon in the universe. Because we remember, we learn. Because we learn, we adapt. Because we adapt, we survive. You are talking nonsense. Why, let me tell you something about humans, War Prime. We domesticated wolves. Valandra's eyes narrowed. Wolves were the ancient ancestors of the Valakari. They were perfect predators, designed by evolution to kill. Possible. We took creatures that were built to hunt us, and we made them our friends. We turned our predators into our protectors. We made them love us more than they love their own. Pak Suman gestured to the other humans. You see weakness when you look at us. But every one of these people has skills you cannot imagine. Taewon can heal injuries that would kill your soldiers. Haijin can plan battles that would confuse your best generals. Yoon Young can turn your own technology against you. Prove it. Give us the chance, and we will. Something in Soman's voice made Valandra pause. The small human showed no fear, even with a weapon pointed at her friends. She spoke with the confidence of someone who knew something the War Prime did not. "You want to know our secret?" Soman asked. "Our secret is that we never fight fair. We do not challenge our enemies to single combat. We do not meet them on battlefields where strength decides victory. Then how do you fight? We turn everything into a weapon. Use our intelligence, our environment, our unity. We make our enemies fight not just us, but the entire universe we have learned to control." Valandra looked around the camp. The humans were watching her with calm eyes. They showed no panic, no desperation. They looked like people who were waiting for something. "What are you planning?" "Nothing," Soman said. "Everything. We are planning to be human." For the first time, Valandra noticed things she had missed before. The humans had been modifying their prison, small changes that looked like repairs but were actually improvements. They had been studying their guards, learning their schedules and habits. They had been organizing, preparing, adapting. "Guards," she called. "Search the camp. Find what they have been hiding." The soldiers spread out and began tearing apart the human buildings. What they found made Valandra's blood run cold. The humans had been turning mining equipment into weapons. They had modified communication devices to hack Valakari systems. They had mapped every weakness in the camp's defenses. They had been preparing for war while pretending to be helpless prisoners. "How long have you been planning this?" Valandra demanded. "Since the first day," Deho said. "We told you we were peaceful. We never said we were helpless. You are still outnumbered 1,000 to 1. "Numbers do not matter," said Haijin, speaking for the first time. "You have more soldiers, but we have something better." "What? You have nothing left to lose?" The security officer stepped forward. She had been quiet for weeks, letting the Valakari think she was broken. But now, she moved with the grace of a trained warrior. "You made a mistake when you separated us from our families," she said. "You made a mistake when you threatened our children. You made a mistake when you tried to break our spirits." "What mistake?" "You showed us that there is no point in surrendering. You showed us that you will never let us go home. You showed us that the only choice we have is to fight." Valandra realized that something had changed in the humans during their month in the camp. They had started as peaceful miners and scientists, but constant pressure had turned them into something else. They had become soldiers. "You cannot win," she said. "Maybe not," admitted Deho. "But we can make you pay for every victory. We can make you bleed for every step. We can make this planet so expensive to hold that you will wish you had never found us. And when you are all dead, then you will have 40 martyrs," said Grandmother Baksoon, speaking in her elderly but strong voice. "And martyrs have a way of inspiring others." Valandra looked at the faces around her. These were not the same humans she had captured a month ago. Those had been soft civilians who just wanted to go home. These were people who had been tested by suffering and had become something harder. "You want to know what makes humans dangerous?" Salman asked again. "It is not our strength or our speed or our weapons. It is our refusal to accept defeat. Even when we lose, we find a way to win. Impossible, is it? How many times have you conquered us now? How many times have you beaten us? How many times have you proven that you are stronger?" Valandra did not answer. "And yet here we are," Soman said. "Still standing, still fighting, still human." The War Prime looked around the camp one more time. She saw humans who had learned to turn their prison into a fortress. She saw people who had found strength in their unity. She saw a species that had somehow become more dangerous as prisoners than they had been as free people. For the first time in her military career, Svelendra was not sure she could win this war, and that terrified her more than anything else in the galaxy. The uprising began at dawn. War Prime Valandra was in her command ship when the first explosions rocked the mining facility. The Valakari sensors showed fires spreading through the eastern sector where the humans worked. Emergency alarms screamed. "Across all frequencies. Report," she commanded. "The humans have destroyed the primary mining equipment," Guard Captain Mordock said. "They used some kind of explosive device." "Impossible. We searched them for weapons. They made explosives from Mining chemicals? They must have been planning this for weeks. More explosions echoed across the planet. The humans had not just destroyed one facility. It hit 3 different sites at exactly the same time. How are they coordinating? Valander demanded. We monitor all their communications. Unknown Warprime. What the Valakari did not know was that the humans had been using something older than radio waves. They had been using hand signals, coded songs, and patterns scratched into the walls. Yunyung had taught them basic codes that could be hidden in normal conversation. In the prison camp, Daeho gave a signal. The humans moved like they had rehearsed this 100 times. Because they had. Kung Su led a team to the eastern wall. He had studied the ground beneath the camp for weeks. He knew exactly where to place the charges he had. It's made from cleaning chemicals and metal scrap. The wall exploded outward, so Dashmin and her group attacked the power station. They had been watching the guards for a month, learning their routines. They knew exactly when the station would be lightly defended. The lights went out across the entire camp. Haijin moved like a shadow through the darkness. She had been a soldier before she became a miner. She had trained for this kind of operation. In the confusion, she reached the armory and began distributing Valakari weapons to the other humans. Alert all units, Valandra commanded. The humans are escaping. No, Warprime, said Tech Prime Zalanoth, studying his sensors. They are not escaping. They are attacking. This was not a prison break. This was a coordinated military assault. The humans had divided into teams, each with a specific target. One team went after the communication array. Another hit the vehicle depot. A third attacked the guard barracks. But the most dangerous team was led by Ginwu, the geologist. He had been studying the planet's geology for months before the Valakari arrived. He knew things about this world that the aliens did not. He knew about the underground cave systems. He knew about the unstable rock formations. He knew exactly how to make the ground itself fight for the humans. The main ship, Jinwu told his team. That is our target. How do we attack a spaceship? Asked young Minho. We do not attack the ship, Jinwu smiled. We attack what it is standing on. The Valakari had landed their ships on what looked like solid rock, but Jinwu knew it was actually a thin layer of stone over a network of caves. He had been quietly mapping those caves during his work detail. His team planted their improvised explosives in precisely calculated locations. Not to destroy the caves, but to make them collapse in a specific pattern. When the charges detonated, the ground beneath the main Valakari ship simply disappeared. The massive vessel, designed to withstand the vacuum of space and the heat of atmospheric entry, fell into a hole in the ground. It tilted at a crazy angle, half buried in collapsing rock. The ship is trapped, reported a panicked Valakari officer. Get it out, Valandra ordered. We cannot. The ship's engines are buried. It would take days to dig it out. Meanwhile, Yun had reached the communications center. She was not just a communications officer. She was a computer expert who had studied alien technology during first contact protocols. The Valakari systems were advanced, but they followed logical patterns. Yunyang began feeding false information into their network. As she made their sensors see human attacks where there were none. She made their communications send contradictory orders to different units. The Valakari soldiers began shooting at shadows. They received orders to move to positions where there were no enemies. They got confused, frustrated, and frightened. The humans are everywhere, one unit reported. I show no humans in your sector, another replied. They are using some kind of stealth technology, but there was no stealth technology. There were just 40 humans who had learned to use the Valakari's own systems against them. Taewon the medic led the most unusual assault of all. He attacked the Valakari field hospital, but he did not attack with weapons. He attacked with knowledge. The Valakari had been studying human biology for weeks. They had samples of human blood, tissue, and DNA. What they did not know was that Taewon had been studying them right back. He had been watching how they treated their own wounded. He had learned about Valakari anatomy and medicine. And he had discovered something interesting. The drugs that made Valakari soldiers stronger also made them vulnerable to certain chemical reactions that could be triggered by combining Valakari medicine with human blood. Tay-1 contaminated their medical supplies. Within hours, Valakari soldiers who had been treated for injuries began to fall sick. Not sick enough to die, but sick enough to be useless in a fight. They became dizzy, confused, unable to aim their weapons properly. "What is happening to our soldiers?" Valandra demanded. "Unknown illness," the medical officer reported. "It seems to affect anyone who has been treated for wounds. We are trying, but our medical equipment has been sabotaged. Someone has corrupted our medical database." That someone was Tay-1, who had spent weeks learning to hack Valakari computers while pretending to be a harmless medic. By midday, the situation was desperate. The Valakari had lost control of most of their facilities. Their main ship was trapped underground. Their soldiers were sick, or confused, or fighting enemies that did not exist. And through it all, the humans kept coming. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts. They struck at weak points and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. They turned every piece of equipment into a weapon and every piece of terrain into a trap. "This is impossible," Mordok reported to Valandra. 40 humans cannot defeat 1,000 soldiers, but they are doing it. How Valandra finally understood. The humans were not fighting like any species she had ever encountered. Most species fought to win quickly. They used their best weapons and their strongest warriors and tried to achieve decisive victory, but humans were persistence hunters. They did not fight to win quickly. They fought to make their enemies tired, confused, and afraid. To make the cost of victory higher than anyone was willing to pay. They are not trying to defeat us, she realized. They are trying to exhaust us. What do you mean? Every attack costs us resources. Every false alarm wastes our time. Every trick makes us question our own systems. They are making us hunt them across an entire planet while they pick us apart piece by piece. It was the same strategy their ancestors had used to hunt animals much larger and stronger than themselves. Follow the prey until it becomes tired. Attack when it is weak. Retreat when it fights back. Repeat until the prey collapses from exhaustion. Except now the humans were hunting an entire army. Orders War Prime? Valandra looked at the tactical display. Red warning lights flashed across the screen. Half her forces were chasing phantom signals. The other half were too sick or confused to fight effectively. And somewhere out there, 40 humans were laughing at her. For the first time in her life, the war prime of the Valakari Empire felt like prey. "Prepare for withdrawal," she said quietly. "War prime, you heard me. Prepare for withdrawal. But we have not been defeated. We still have superior numbers and weapons. Numbers do not matter if we cannot use them. Weapons do not matter if we cannot find our targets." Valandra turned off the tactical display. "The humans have turned this entire planet into a trap. The longer we stay, the weaker we become. So we retreat, before we lose everything." But it was already too late. The humans had taught the Valakari Empire something that would spread to every conquered world. They had taught them that predators could become prey. The final confrontation happened at sunset. War-Prime Valandra had ordered the retreat. But she could not leave without one last attempt to understand what had happened. She needed to face the humans one more time. She came alone to the ruins of the mining camp. The prison walls were broken. The guard towers had fallen. Smoke still rose from the destroyed buildings. It looked like a battlefield where an army had fought and lost. But there had been no army. Just 40 miners who had become something else. The humans were waiting for her in the center of the camp. They stood together as they always did, but something was different now. They no longer looked like prisoners. They looked like soldiers who had won a war. "You came back," said Commander Deho. "I wanted to understand," Valandra replied. "How did 40 humans defeat 1,000 Valakari?" "We did not defeat you," said Salman. "We just showed you the truth." "What truth?" "That you are not as strong as you think you are." Valandra looked around at the destruction. Her soldiers were already loading the ships, preparing to leave this cursed planet behind. They moved quickly, eager to escape. "You destroyed our equipment. You sabotaged our ships. You turned our own technology against us." "How?" We learned, said Yunyang simply. We watched. We listened. We adapted. In 1 month, humans are very good at learning, said Taewon, especially when our lives depend on it. And the explosives? The weapons? Where did you get them? We made them, said Jinwoo. We're from cleaning. Chemicals and metal scraps and parts of broken machines. You gave us everything we needed to destroy you. Valandra felt a chill run through her fur. You've planned this from the beginning. No, said Haijin. We hoped we would never need to fight. But we prepared anyway. That is what humans do. We prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. And if we had treated you better, if we had been kinder, then we would have been grateful guests instead of dangerous enemies, said grandmother. Baksoon? The choice was always yours. Valandra understood now. The humans had not wanted to fight. They had given the Valakari every chance to find a peaceful solution. But when forced to choose between slavery and war, they had chosen war, and they had one. What happens now? She asked. Now you leave, said Daeho. You take your ships and your soldiers, and you go back to wherever you came from. And if we return, then we will be ready. Something in his voice made Valandra pause. These humans had learned to fight in 1 month. What could they learn in a year, or 10 years, or 100? You will tell others about this, she said. But was not a question. Yes, said Salman. We will tell Earth what happened here. We will tell them about the Valakari Empire. We will tell them to be ready. You cannot defeat our entire empire. Maybe not. But we can teach other species how to fight you. We can show them that the Valakari are not invincible. Landra felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Not literally, but something deeper. Humans were right. Word of this defeat would spread. Other conquered species would hear that 40 humans had driven off a Valakari army. They would start to wonder if they could do the same. You are making a mistake, she said. We will return with more ships, more soldiers. We will be ready for your tricks. Good, said Haijin. We will be ready for you too. The security officer stepped forward. She moved with the confidence of someone who had just won an impossible victory. You want to know the real truth about humans? She asked. The truth you still do not understand? Tell me. We get stronger every time you fight us. Every battle teaches us something new. Every defeat makes us more dangerous. That is impossible. Is it? You have been conquering worlds for thousands of years. You've perfected the art of war. You have weapons and tactics that should be unbeatable. Valandra nodded. But we just beat you with mining tools and cleaning chemicals. How do you think we will do when we have real weapons, real ships, real armies? The War Prime felt something she had never experienced before. True fear. Not fear of death or pain, but fear of what the future might hold. You are threatening the Empire. No, said Salman quietly. We are promising you something. What? If you leave us alone, we will leave you alone. If you come in peace, we will welcome you as friends. She gestured to the destroyed camp around them. Then this is what you can expect. Balandra looked at the faces of the 40 humans. They showed no hatred, no anger, no desire for revenge. They just looked tired and determined, like people who had done a difficult job and were ready to go home. But beneath that calm surface, she could see something that terrified her. She could see the potential for these peaceful miners to become something far more dangerous than any army the galaxy had ever seen. There's one more thing, said Daeho. What? You asked what makes humans dangerous? You want to know our secret? Weapon, yes. Our secret weapon is not our technology, or our tactics, or our refusal to surrender. Then what is it? Daeho smiled. Our secret weapon is that we remember our friends. I do not understand. Every species you have conquered is still out there. Somewhere in the galaxy, there are Karathi who remember being free. There are Zentari who dream of going home. There are Helix who want their children to grow up without chains. Valandra's blood went cold. And now they will know that someone fought the Valakari and won. They will know that it is possible to resist. They will know that they are not alone. You would start a galactic war. You started the war when you decided to conquer peaceful people. We are just going to finish it." The war prime stared at the human commander. He was small and soft and should have been easy to break. But there was something in his eyes that told her she was looking at the most dangerous person in the galaxy. Not because he was strong or fast or violent, but because he was human. In that moment, Valandra finally understood what she was truly facing. Not just 40 rebels on a distant planet, but the awakening of something that could destroy everything the Valakari Empire had built. She opened her mouth to speak, to make one final threat, to reassert her dominance. But then something happened that had never happened before in her long military career. She found that she had nothing to say. The silence stretched between them.
Heavyweight.
The weight of everything that had changed. The war prime of the Valakari Empire, who had conquered 73 worlds, stood facing a small human engineer and realized that she was afraid. Without another word, she turned and walked back to her ship. Behind her, the humans watched in silence until she disappeared from sight. An hour later, the Valakari fleet lifted off from the planet's surface and jumped to hyperspace. They left behind their equipment, their supplies, and their reputation as invincible conquerors. They also left behind 40 humans who had learned something important about themselves. They had learned that they were dangerous and across the galaxy. On 73 conquered worlds, other species would soon learn that lesson too. The age of human resistance had begun, and it had started with silence.